Hello, everybody. So on the last video that Helen and I shared, we were giving a lot more detail about the guidance we'd received about the conscious parenting program, and that it needed to be redirected, or it needed to take a different form. And so that's still being processed. We're still thinking about that. But what we do know is that there were a few comments about constellations, and there was interest in them. There were people wanting to know a lot more about how it works, where it comes from. There were a few people who wanted to have one-to-one sessions when they kind of got the gist of it, or they saw how it might create breakthrough, how it might be linked to something that was in their ancestry. So we've kind of followed that guidance immediately, really. There's other pieces of guidance around the edge that we're still processing. But what we do know is that we believe that providing constellations for the community is something we can be pretty sure that would be of service, would be desirable, and so that's what we're going to go with. And another thing that came up for me personally about how we might do those constellation sessions is that when I run constellation workshops, which I do regularly and face-to-face and in small groups, the day tends to follow a process of trying to provide as many constellations to that group as possible, because people have traveled there, they've paid, they've shown up, they want a constellation. When we did the taster sessions for conscious parenting, and as I've been working one-to-one with a few people who were in that group, I've started to wonder about a new format that I think would be, I want to try and see if it is useful for this group. And that is to hold a session that would probably be at least 2 hours long, that would allow an hour to do a constellation for one of the people there, and then would have reflection time for the whole group, because what we know about constellations is that it is connecting us to the field of collective consciousness. So whatever work shows up for one person tends to really resonate within somebody. So deliberately giving the group time to tune into what has that work brought to life in me, where has it touched me, where is it guiding me to. We might do that in a kind of solo reflection process, we might do it in a pair process, a trio process, and then we'll come back together as a group and use a process that I would call feeding the fire, which is just bringing these thoughts and themes together to kind of make them richer, so that people can again use that common conversation process to deeply process their own thoughts. And then I have the idea that after that, when we've closed that session, I would like to just do a very short video that mentions no names of any people that attended at all, and certainly no personal themes, but just as somebody who hadn't attended, they would get the very core insights. So today's constellation and post-reflection brought up themes of this and this and this and this, in case they are useful to people who couldn't attend for whatever reason. So it's a format that I think this group is ready for and could make great use of. And my hope is that these sessions are held regularly, because my experience with constellating is that it really becomes so powerful when there's a kind of drumbeat of constellating with, doesn't have to be the same people, but it really starts to build the strength if a community keep coming together and constellating. So maybe it's every month we gather and we work with who turns up, we work with what shows up, we review, we assimilate, we share, we move on. So that's what's coming through. We want to make it as easy as possible for people to attend, minimal barriers so that we can just get some great groups and see what happens. So yeah, that's the idea, that's the plan at the moment.
It's so exciting. So just to really highlight and emphasize that point, that when you come together in face-to-face groups, and this is exaggerating in a very crude way, I know it's not really like this, it doesn't feel like this, but it's kind of like, right, bang, 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 we've got to constellate without space for processing, really. Like, of course there is some, there has to be some, but it's much more, right, we want to get as many constellations done as possible in a day. Whereas what you're offering here is space, so there'll be that pre-conversation with whoever's constellating for the day, for the session, so that when you come together as a group, it's the constellation with you've already done that pre-work, and then that means there's plenty of space for that processing and that recognition for all the people on the edges, like you say, who then they might not be the one constellating, but there are so many benefits to all those who attend or represent. And so that gives that space for that kind of, oh my goodness, well, when she said this or he said that really, oh my goodness, that reminded me of this, or that's bringing up this. So there's that space for that kind of, that processing.
And I think anyone who's been part of a constellation run by anybody really gets this, would know what I mean when I say that a constellation tends to activate the field. So sometimes the insights that you get, either when you're a representative in a constellation or you're an observer of a constellation, are just, it's like the veil has been made really thin, or your kind of chakras have been opened, however it works for you, and suddenly you were part of a constellation and bam, this like insight comes that you're like, what? Like, why did I suddenly get a very, very clear understanding of, or a very felt feeling, connection to an ancestor or something that happened that I knew about logically and intellectually, but I never really understood that in my body. And so that's the stuff that I think in a constellation workshop people feel in their bodies. It's all of the gift that for them, it's not my business, and they take it away and they work with it. I'm interested in what happens if we share those gifts, and does that magnify them? Does that mean that they become other people's gifts too? And so that's
wonderful.
I hope.
Yeah. And as we talked about as well, the gift of this being online, because as you said before, with your face-to-face ones, it's not always practical for people to travel to those. So amazing opportunity to get this time with you that's online, with all this beautiful space and ongoing community space. That means the conversation can carry on between the constellations. It's not like, right, we're done, that's it. So that might also help, like you said, that drumbeat of constellations supported by that ongoing conversation could create something really powerful.
Totally, because some of the people who came to the Tater sessions who wanted to continue with constellations don't live near me, so wouldn't be able to come to the sessions that I'm offering. But rather than them having to go and work with somebody else, now they can come and be part of our online groups, and that feels much better.
Yeah. So we will be back to share more, won't we? Because in fact, one thing we've not even mentioned today is the fact this isn't just for parents anymore. This is families in the broadest sense, and we all have that in some form or other. So
it's for people who have parents. It's for people who have been born of parents, which is very much all of us.
Yeah, in some form or other. Yeah. Not necessarily, we have all the, this is exactly the point. We have all the stuff around, oh yeah, but mine's not normal. I didn't have that, and that's exactly the point. It's for all of it. It's for all the shapes, all the sizes, all the circumstances, which completely meets with your desire for it to be accessible and here for everybody. So wonderful. So no doubt then we'll be back on another video very soon, excuse me, to share more of how this is shaping up, how this desire is going to show up through PIP and what that will look like practically, how you will actually get access, how you will, when it will be, all that kind of stuff. So yeah, amazing. Thank you, Pip. Anything else?
No, I hope we can get them going in autumn and get the dates sorted, and then we can start bringing the community together, which is very exciting. So more soon.
Lovely. Lots of love. Bye.